Welcome back to Visual Anthology Training. In this third chapter on Quick Receive, we're going to be talking about wrapping up the process, putting in your vendor invoice information, posting that, also editing that information after the fact, and then also showing a little bit of what happens on those outstanding receiving memos, what carries through when you've posted that Quick Receive memo. As you can see, we're still working on our Quick Receive memo we started earlier. You can see that we have 3 entries for the Brother in Arms title. All these different originating PO numbers are recorded for us, and in at least one of them we did not receive the full quantity that we had asked for, so that status will carry through to the receiving memo that this came from, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Really, at this stage, it's about making sure your quantities are right, that your statuses are correct, that your list and retail and discounts are correct, that all the totals add up, that you've got everything on there that you need to have for that invoice. So at this point, of course, you want to F10 save. And now we can go to our Actions menu, and we can do Vendor Invoice Info. A lot like what you're used to seeing in receiving, same idea here. If you've got an invoice number, great, put that in. Or if all you have is a packing slip, that's fine too. So now we need to go in and put in the invoice date, the starting date. So let's just say that, oh, this was from a while ago, and that it is due very soon. Now, just like the receiving area, if you are working with an invoice, you want to put in the grand total amount, the full amount, because we're going to break out shipping and tax. So let's say that their grand total on their invoice was $75. Anthology treats shipping and tax not as a cost to those items, but as a cost of doing business. So we want to break those items out. So if our grand total was $75, let's say that they charged us, $5 of shipping and, a dollar's worth of tax. You can see that as I was entering in the grand total, the shipping, and the tax, that this invoice subtotal kept dropping. Now, between $69 and $69.42, that's pretty close. It's not something that maybe I can be dead on accurate because maybe they're calculating things a little bit differently. We're not going to stop you from continuing. We're going to warn you that those two don't match, but at the very least, you can enter this information in and realize it doesn't match, and oh, well, that's because my price changed. So just because you have entered in your vendor invoice information doesn't mean you can't go back to this point and tweak the prices if that's needed. Now, let's say in this case though, I've got my numbers in, I'm happy, everything's set the way it should be. So really at this point, I need to post this quick receive to wrap it up. This will take these quantities for the received value and add them to the on hand, just like a receiving memo will. But we'll also go into those originating POs that these things came from. And if an item was totally received, like this one, that line item would be completed. If, in the case of this one, we'll go in and we'll say 3 out of the 5 that you wanted were received, and the other 2 are on coming from a secondary warehouse. Same idea here. We only got 2 out of the 3 that we were expecting, and that third copy is going to be out of stock for a little bit. So those statuses, if the item isn't completed like this one is, these items that are partially received that have a status, that will also get marked in the open receiving memo to indicate, okay, at least 2 copies have been totally received. We're just waiting for this third copy to come in. In fact, you may want to print, so you would just do F11 print, of course, save your changes, at which point you can choose what it is that you want to print. I'm just going to cancel out of that for now, though. So at this point, I'm going to do F12 post. Yes, I really want to post. Now, it's warning me that, hey, your price changed, so my old list price was lower than the new list price, and it's asking me, do you want to also change the inventory record too, not just the receiving memo item? So this might be the time where I'm having one of my staff run out to the shelf, get the old copies, so perhaps I can relabel them with the new price. It's really a personal choice on how stores handle that. But I do want to, in this case at least, tell the inventory record to reflect the newer price. So I'm just going to say yes to all, and the same thing for the retail, yes to all. And so now it's again giving me an option to print. I'll skip that for right now. And so quick receive number 19 is now completed. So what happens if you find out that your invoice wasn't right and you do need to change, say, a discount? All right. There is a training video out on the Customer Zone that does talk about modifying cost of goods. That would be a good one to watch to give you the sort of the really big picture of how that works. But really briefly, if you do discover that all you had was maybe the packing slip and you did the quick receive, and unfortunately later you find on your invoice that the price is different, whatever. That's a normal occurrence. So what we do is we want to go back to the quick receive area. Now again, because we did this through quick receive, those historical shipment records are recorded here, not in receiving. So I want to be in the quick receive module, go to list tab, and I'm just going to say, you know what, show me everything. Do a search, and there's my number 19 that I was working on. Notice that some of these are in red. Well, that's our color coding system that we use to indicate that this is a quick receive record, not a regular gray receiving record. So I'm going to go to number 19 here that we just finished receiving. Looks like there's some items on here that I needed to clean up. So in my quick receive memo, I discovered that not only did I get short shipped or they were out of stock on an item, but the price or the discount was different. So let's go up to the Brothers in Arms title, and I can go to my Actions menu, and I can choose Edit Receiving History. That will unlock certain pieces of information, just like it does in receiving. I can choose to change the discount. Maybe I didn't get quite what I hoped I would. And I can also change the price. So I can change the price, I can change the discount. The things I cannot do when I'm doing edit receiving history is I can't add new titles and I can't change the quantities. So once I've done that edit receiving history, I should go in and recalculate the cost of goods sold just in case the item's sold in between time. And so it's going to ask me, do I want to recalculate the whole thing or just the one particular order item? So I'm just going to say the whole order because it's not that big. Now it is warning you down here that there is a third step you need to do, which is to re-roll the sales history. And again, that training video that's on the website about modifying cost of goods talks about this in better detail. So now I've recalculated my totals, my history has been edited, and I'm now showing exactly on here what the invoice has. But let's go see what happened to the actual open receiving memos. So for this blind fall title, we found that there were 3 that we were waiting for. We only got 2 out of that. So I'm going to copy this ISBN and let's go over to the receiving area. And let's find that SSS Pro 08 receiving memo so you can see what happened to that blind fall title. So I'm just going to search for that particular ISBN so I can find it for you. So here's the SS Pro or SS Spring 08 order. And we'll see that for that blind fall title, we had received at the very least, let me find the shipments for you. We had received 2 copies at one point, and we just received 2 more, and we're waiting for 1 last copy. And again, that red color that you're seeing is showing the various quick receive records that this came from. In fact, there's the quick receive number that we received those copies on. Had this item also been received through the regular receiving area, we would also see those shipment records here that were not red colored at all, that were just solid gray. And why don't we check that one other title, the Brothers in Arms, so you can see how that one fared as well. Now that one we received for 3 different receiving memos. So we'll search for that ISBN. So there's the order number 1980 that we did receive on. Again, we can take a look at the POs tab. And we can locate this Brothers in Arms title. And we'll be able to see that indeed it's been received on regular receiving memos. But there's also that quick receive memo that we did as well. And in fact, we did not receive all the copies for that title on all the different orders. On 10507 we received all the copies, but there were a couple that we did not completely receive. So we didn't receive every single copy out there outstanding, but there are a few other copies floating around out there that we're still waiting for, and it was 60807 that we're still waiting for one more copy to come in the door. But all of our on-hands have been increased. We have marked in the originating open receiving memos what came in and how many copies of it. If there were a status that we had not gotten all copies in, we will also show that in the parent or the originating order, like so. That's about it. That wraps up the quick receive training videos. Again, I do encourage everybody to go to the customer zone and review the document called REC using the quick receive module.